As me and many others have predicted, yet another employee has been fired from Bud Light after this entire Bud Light anheuser-busch controversy that's going on with Mr. Vaney. You know, I can't actually say the name, so I will refer to him as Mr. Vaney going forward in this video. Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch has fired another person. We saw Alyssa, I don't know how to say her last name, but the VP of marketing who was behind the entire Mr. Vaney situation with the whole ad campaign, and she said that she wanted to gain a new audience, and she didn't like the audience that was already existing for Bud Light because they want to get that younger, more woke audience. We know the story. It's every single corporation, every single company, every single brand wants to do the same thing, and they're willing to run their company into the ground in order to achieve that. And Bud Light has just done the same thing as well. I said that we haven't even seen the real bad sales numbers yet, because we haven't seen all these companies, all these big grocery stores, these gas stations, corner stores, they haven't restocked yet. They haven't had to restock yet. And whenever those orders come, whenever those sales reps go into the stores and say, hey, how many cases of Bud Light do you need to restock on? And they say 4 instead of 400, that's when the real hurt is going to come for Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch. That's when the real heads are going to roll. But seeing as we already saw Alyssa get fired, the VP of marketing for Bud Light, already fired, and you could say whatever you want about placed on leave. I'll address that in 1 second. But seeing as we already saw Alyssa get placed on leave, and now we're seeing her boss also, Daniel Blake, placed on leave now, I think that's a really bad sign for other employees inside of Bud Light that were behind the Mr. Vaney ad. I think that's a really bad sign for them in the near future. And when it comes to the placed on leave versus fired thing, we all know, come on, use your brain a little bit. You know why they're placed on leave. It's to transition them into unemployment. No pun intended, but it's because they're transitioning to unemployment. They don't want to straight up fire them because that's a bad look. It will, kind of infuriate. It will be more inflammatory than placing them on leave and transition them into unemployment or possibly into another position with lower pay, whatever the case is. They don't want to fire them because that's an admission of guilt. If they straight up fire them, then they admit that they did something wrong by having Mr. Vaney as the face of Bud Light. So they don't want to do that because that will get rid of any good favor that they did gain, if they gained any at all. But in theory, that would get rid of any good favor that they did gain from the Mr. Vaney situation. So they can't just straight up fire them. So they're going to place them on leave. They're not just going to keep placing these employees on leave, just bleeding money, paying them salary if they don't plan on firing them in the future. Or maybe they're just trying to figure out what they're going to do with them because they can't keep them in their current position because they're going to run the company into the ground if they do. But they also can't fire them because, like I said, that's very inflammatory for the side that they were trying to gain the favor of. This is also from the Wall Street Journal, so I need a subscription to read the entire article, and if you know me, I'm not buying the subscription. I'm not paying to read the Wall Street Journal, so we'll read the little bit that is here. InBev said it had placed on leave 2 executives who oversaw a Bud Light collaboration with a transgender activist. Alyssa, last name unknown, Bud Light's vice president of marketing, had come under fire from some customers and media outlets over the company's decision to send a personalized Bud Light can to transgender activist and influencer Mr. Vaney. So that's why she got fired, according to the Wall Street Journal. We also have a ton of videos coming out like this. I mean, I'm talking about a ton. And look how many cores are missing. Look how many Bud Light boxes are still there. There's Budweiser completely full. Like I'm saying, man, whenever these companies, whenever these sales reps go into these stores and they say, how many Bud Light boxes do you need? And they're not restocking. They don't need to restock. They don't need to reorder in bulk. That's going to be a big issue. And I think more heads are going to roll, maybe even out of necessity. Maybe even like we don't have enough money to pay all these employees. It's not that you did a horrible job. It's just the simple fact that we don't have enough money. We're not making enough profit right now to pay you. And I think that's really sad that these sales reps would probably end up losing their jobs because they had absolutely nothing to do with the whole situation. They had nothing to do with they had no say in having Mr. Vaney be the new face of Bud Light, and yet they're going to have to pay the price because they just simply chose to work for the wrong company, and somebody got hired above them that made the decision to put Mr. Vaney as the head or the face of Bud Light. It's really sad, but it is a necessary evil of everything that's going on here. I'll give you one more look at all of the Bud Light boxes that are not touched, and Budweiser as well. Sadly, we have even more videos coming out like this. I thought that it would kind of deter these companies, and it seems like so far it hasn't. I think it will in the future. I definitely think that they will take note of what's happening to Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch. But as of right now, they're still doing weird stuff. I think this was actually posted before. the Anheuser-Busch and the Bud Light stuff happened with Mr. Vaney, but it's still, it's really disgusting. And then I also saw this one a little bit ago. I said new boycott just dropped. By the way, this is my Twitter. I would really appreciate a follow. I'm closing in on 1,000 followers. I'm trying to go hard on Twitter. So my handle is Justin Loss with 2 T's. It will be linked in the pinned comment. But Maybelline has appointed Dylan as their new brand ambassador. And this happened just an hour ago, or maybe a couple hours ago at this point by the time I posted this video. Really sad, dude. And I'll have a whole video posted on that tomorrow as well. So if you want to see me cover that situation in depth, the reactions to that and all of that, I will be coming out with that tomorrow. So hit the subscribe button if you're interested in seeing that. But it is just really sad, dude, what's happening. Like I said, I hope that this Bud Light boycott ends up deterring all these other brands from doing things like this. But as of now, it seems like it's not really doing that. Just wait until you realize how many other beers are Anheuser-Busch brands that was under this cases of Bud Light being untouched there. And I see a lot of people telling me, stop glorifying Miller, stop glorifying Coors, because we saw a bunch of stats from experts saying that Coors and Miller sales are soaring while Bud Light sales are actually falling off the face of the earth. And people are saying, stop glorifying Miller, stop glorifying Coors. I'm not. That's simple fact. You know, if Miller and Coors, they're kind of the same tier of beer as Bud Light and Budweiser, if they're surrounding Bud Light and Budweiser, if they're right next to them, and everybody knows you can't buy Bud Light right now. If you get seen walking out of the store with a big box of Bud Light, you're going to get made fun of. You're probably going to go viral on TikTok, you know, so nobody wants to buy that stuff right now. So what are they going to buy? Whatever's right next to it. They're going to buy Coors. They're going to buy Miller. They're going to buy the beer that is right next to the ones that they can't end up buying. So I don't understand why people think that I'm glorifying Coors and Miller. I know that they've done weird things in the past, but they haven't done anything close to what Bud Light did. They haven't done anything close to what Anheuser-Busch did, and they haven't insulted the fans, in my opinion, anywhere near what Anheuser-Busch had with that Budweiser commercial that they posted. That they're really pushing out there now. I saw it on ESPN over the weekend. I saw that they were playing it a ton of times in front of sporting events. I saw that they're really pushing that ad. They're really trying to gain that audience back by that really dumb, desperate, patriotic ad that they were pushing. It's really stupid of them to try to do that. And also the CEO's statement, very insulting to fans, saying that he's so proud of his service to this country when he was in the CIA. It's not like he was in the Navy or the Army. Like, obviously the CIA is technically a military branch, but I mean, the CIA, you could argue they've done a lot worse for the country than they have good. So I'm glad that he's proud of his service to the country and everything, but you didn't serve in the army. You didn't go to war, you know? So I think it's very insulting to the fans. It's very insulting to the consumers of Bud Light, of Anheuser-Busch products. And obviously this whole campaign is very insulting. And you can tell that people are really feeling strongly about this. I mean, one more time, look at this video. All the Coors is gone, or a lot of it. It's decimated. The Bud Light is completely stocked. And I think, you know, we're seeing people get fired already without even the big earnings reports coming out for Bud Light and for Anheuser-Busch. We saw 2 execs so far, Alyssa and also Daniel Blake, both get fired, or placed on leave, as everybody likes to say, but we all know why they're placed on leave. If we saw 2 of them already get fired, I think it's going to be a lot more to come as more numbers come out. Let me know what you guys think, though. If you could leave a like, I'd really appreciate it to keep the conversation going. But let me know what you guys think in the comments about the second exec being fired from Bud Light.